Hi guys, it's Frankie from Frankie Tech. Good to see you guys again, and I'm here with part 2 of my epic comparison between the POCO X3 NFC, the K30 Ultra, and the Mi Note 10 Lite. Now ahead of time guys, there is drilling going on today, so if you do hear it, apologies for that. I will try to reduce in post. And now let's jump into the next sections of this epic comparison, where we're going to cover the fingerprint scanners, vibration motors, communications, the audio speaker test, and then wrap up with the PUBG Showdown. It's been pouring rain in Hong Kong for the past 2 days, so I will be including the full camera comparison in a separate part 3 video, but let's not waste any time and jump right into this comparison. So talking about fingerprint scanners, we have a side-mounted fingerprint scanner here on the POCO X3 NFC, while the other two phones, being AMOLED, they do have in-display fingerprint scanners. And so what I want to do now is just compare the speed of these fingerprint scanners. And here's a little fun fact, I'm left-handed guys, so when I use these kind of side-mounted fingerprint scanners, I need to use them with my right hand. It's a little nitpick here being left-handed, but I guess since most of the world is right-handed, you never kind of run into that issue. But let's compare these two fingerprint scanners and see which one gets in the fastest. Here we go, 3, 2, 1. Let's try one more time, 3, 2, 1. It actually went in pretty quick here on the POCO X3 NFC, and I've noticed that in the past couple days, the fingerprint scanner, sometimes it's really fast, and sometimes it's really slow. So that time you see it was very fast, but that time it was very slow. Meanwhile, I think I'm just more used to the fingerprint scanners in display now in AMOLED phones, because not only are they easier to get into, but I can use both left or right hands to do it. Probably my biggest nitpick, you really can't do it as effectively with your index finger if you're using your left hand, and with your right hand, it probably works pretty quick. So that makes the POCO X3 a little bit trickier to unlock day to day. Mi Note 10 Lite and the POCO X3 NFC. 3, 2, 1. So you see it there. Wow, the POCO X3 actually came in before the Mi Note 10 Lite. Let's try that again. And yeah, the POCO X3 is actually going in faster this time. One more time. You see it there, guys. So the POCO X3 actually gets in faster. And one thing I've noticed that helps the speed on the fingerprint scanner is to just press the button while you're unlocking as well, and it will just go in even faster. And last but not least, let's compare these two Mi Note 10 Lite and K30 Ultra. 3, 2, 1. So quite a bit faster here on the K30 Ultra. 3, 2, 1. So there you see it, the K30 Ultra definitely gets in faster, and while the POCO X3 can keep up, it's a little bit more fidgety because, as I said, it will depend on the placement of your hand, and that is becoming one of my bigger gripes of this phone. The side-mounted fingerprint scanner is just not as good as the best optical fingerprint scanners we're seeing now on phones, and so I give the win here to the K30 Ultra. And talking about the vibration motors, and POCO X3 did make a big deal about this. They stepped up their vibration motor in this phone, and while it's not to the level of the one on the Mi 10 Ultra, the vibration feedback you get from this phone is really good. It's up there with what I've experienced on the K30 Ultra and the K30 Pro. If I had to pick between these two, I would give a slight edge to the K30 Ultra because the vibration motor reminds me of something I've experienced like on the Pixels and the iPhones, which in my opinion have the best haptics of any phone on the market. And just pointing out the vibration settings for each phone, and on the K30 Ultra, not only can you turn it on, but you can also adjust the level, which I really do appreciate. Meanwhile, on the POCO X3 NFC, it's just a toggle on and off. And here on the Mi Note 10 Lite, you can choose from off, light, medium, or strong. Now, it's a real toss-up between these two, which vibration motor you think is the best, but I definitely know which is the worst, and that is the Mi Note 10 Lite. And it's probably the thing that I least enjoy about this phone. The vibration motor is pretty terrible. It feels just very metallic-y, and if you want great haptics on a phone, definitely steer clear of this device. But it's great to see that the POCO X3 has adopted a great vibration motor. I call this a tie between the POCO X3 NFC and the K30 Ultra. And talking about the comms for these devices, we have Wi-Fi 802.11ac versus Wi-Fi 6 versus Wi-Fi AC on board, Bluetooth 5.1 versus 5.1 versus 5.0, A2DP, and aptX HD on these phones. And I still need to confirm if that's available on the POCO X3 because from what I see, only LE Bluetooth is listed for this phone. FM radio on the X3 NFC and the Mi Note 10 Lite, but none on the K30 Ultra. NFC on board on all these phones. Of course, it would be on the POCO X3 NFC. And these are all using USB 2.0 Type-C connectors as well. And the phone call experience on the POCO X3 NFC has been solid. My wife said the sound quality was very clear and very crisp. And I think the POCO X3 NFC is offering terrific comm specs, including NFC for tap to pay for the price. And now the audio speaker test, dual speakers on the X3 NFC and the K30 Ultra, single bottom firing here on the Mi Note 10 Lite, but both of these phones with 3.5mm headphone jacks on board, not on the K30 Ultra. Let me point the mic forward, let's have a listen. What can I say? A very interesting result, and I can already say that the Mi Note 10 Lite is definitely a step behind these two. Obviously, with a single bottom firing speaker, it sounds good, but it just can't compete with the immersive sound of these dual speaker phones. But between the POCO X3 NFC and the K30 Ultra, it's a very interesting conclusion. The POCO X3 is definitely the loudest of the three. I'm actually really surprised with the volume of this phone, but surprisingly, I enjoy the sound at 100%. It did not get tinny, and I could still hear a lot of the separation and a lot of the instruments in this song. Meanwhile, the K30 Ultra also has pleasing sound, and the bass is, I think, a bit more heavy on this phone, but it sounds a little bit more distant. And so it will come down to your preference. Do you want the loudest speakers on a phone that sound great, or do you want a more nuanced sound with better bass? You have your choice here, but for me, I'm going to call it a tie between the POCO X3 NFC and the K30 Ultra. And here we go, guys, the PUBG Showdown between the POCO X3 NFC, the K30 Ultra, and the Mi Note 10 Lite. And do you notice anything different here on the K30 Ultra? That's right, guys. Looks like I got a new update here on this phone with a whole new refresh look for PUBG Mobile. And here you see the graphics settings, and Ultra is essentially 40 FPS, while Extreme is 60 FPS. So I'm going to go ahead and play Ultra on all these phones. To be fair to the K30 Ultra, there we go. Realistic across the board. Enabled anti-aliasing. And I've disabled auto-adjust graphics on these phones. Alright, here we go. And let's get started. And it's time. It's time for the classic Frankie Tech swim test. Just keep swimming. Just keep swimming. Woo! But what is going on here with the K30 Ultra? I don't know where you are, but you just failed the swim test. There we go. Just keep swimming. And at the plane jump, with the souped up Adreno 618, don't see any stutters here on the POCO X3 NFC, and the Dimensity 1000 Plus with the Mali G77 MC9 performing beautifully here on the K30 Ultra. But even the Mi Note 10 Lite is looking solid. No stutters whatsoever. Let's get down to the surface, get some guns, get some action. And landed to the ground first here on the K30 Ultra, which is surprising because it was the last one to get into the game. Smooth gameplay here on this phone. And now playing PUBG here on the POCO X3 NFC. And when you're fully immersed in a game of PUBG, you don't notice, guys, that it's an LCD display. You really don't. Alright, got some guns. And I'm just going to stand right here waiting for someone. Oh, but they're shooting at me. And on the K30 Ultra, feel enemies are close here. And there they are. Oh boy, here we go. Here we go. No guns whatsoever. Alright, we need some guns and we need them fast, guys. Get some ammo, bro. Let's go. And I hear gunfire in this direction on the K30 Ultra. And I've never been to this map. This is a first. And on the Mi Note 10 Lite, using my fists here. Come on. There we go. Alright, first kill on the Mi Note 10 Lite. And now we have some guns and a fancy, look at this fancy outfit right here. Awesome. And back now on the POCO X3 NFC, and the force field is coming, so we're going to get into the play zone here. And to all my India viewers, don't give up hope, guys. There's still a chance this game will come back in some way, shape, or form. And I really hope that it does for all you guys out there who do play this game. On the force field keeps coming. It's unrelenting here. Is there any way to cross? Oh, there's a... Can I cross this? Oh, there we go. Oh, gosh. Oh, my gosh. And that is the end of this vehicle, so I'm on foot now here on the POCO X3 NFC. Heading towards the play zone. Let's hope I get there in time. Oh, and there's someone right there. Take that. Oh, yeah. First kill on the K30 Ultra. Oh, my gosh. And before I could even get to it, the K30 Ultra has just died. Someone came out of the blue there as I was just checking here, as I was just getting this kill on the POCO X3, so I've switched over to spectate mode here. And we are right on the edge of the force field, guys, so I'm going to run this way. But that is it. We are dead on the K30 Ultra. And now let's stop all the players. Oh. And guys, you saw it right there. I was just shot at, sniped at here, and I think this is the guy that killed me right here. And let's have them play for a little bit longer here, and then we're going to check the CPU temps one last time. And here we see, guys, the final CPU temps of these phones. 38 degrees on the POCO X3 NFC, 42 on the K30 Ultra, and 37 on the Mi Note 10 Lite. What an incredible result here for the POCO X3 NFC. And the new cooling system 1.0 Plus is definitely doing its work here on this phone. It is getting pretty warm on this side, but the phone is definitely dissipating the heat and moving it down towards the bottom of this phone. Now, when it comes to the most immersive experience of these phones, I definitely have to give it here to the K30 Ultra. There's just nothing better on the market right now for PUBG than this type of display. But I had a terrific time playing PUBG Mobile here on the POCO X3 NFC. It stayed much cooler than the K30 Ultra, and I think you're going to have an amazing experience playing this game on this phone. So that's it for this video and my final verdict here after part 2 of this epic comparison. When it comes to fingerprint scanners, I still prefer the one on the K30 Ultra, but in vibration motors, it was a clear tie between these two phones. In the audio speaker test, it's going to come down to which you prefer. Do you want the louder phone or do you want the more bass-heavy phone? Either one will offer a great audio experience. And in the PUBG Showdown, the Dimensity 1000 Plus is a great performer, but it did get the hottest of these three, and the POCO X3 NFC and the Mi Note 10 Lite stayed very cool. And so while the K30 Ultra wins in immersiveness and just better performance with extreme 60 FPS settings available, I still think the POCO X3 hung in there in PUBG and offered a terrific experience. And so overall, you see it, guys, despite the price difference between these two phones, the POCO X3 NFC is hanging in there. And while it doesn't reach the heights of the K30 Ultra, I think it is offering a terrific experience for the price. So stay tuned to part 3 where I will be doing the full camera comparison between these three phones. But hit me up in the comments. Which of these phones do you think did best in this part 2? Do you think the POCO X3 hung in there with the K30 Ultra? Hit me up in the comments. I'd love to hear about it. And that's it for this video. If you liked it, give me that thumbs up. And if you love the content of Frankie Tech, subscribe to the channel. Hit the bell icon for future updates. So thanks for watching my POCO X3 NFC coverage, guys. I really do appreciate it. And this is where I leave you by saying, this is Frankie Tech signing off. Have a good one.